Welcome to video 6 in our mini-series on getting started with Traktor. And now we're getting onto the real exciting stuff that everyone wants to know, how to get started in mixing. So over to you, Steve.
In this video I'm going to teach you how to do a smooth beat mix between two tracks in Traktor, and you're also going to learn some of the important basic principles of beat mixing to get your mixes sounding spot on. Okay, so for these demos I'm going to use the two Tech House tracks that come free with the Traktor install. So you can use exactly the same tracks, so you can copy the mix in this video, and then you can apply the principles to your own tracks and start creating your own mix combinations later on. Now, most music, especially dance music, has defined sections where something changes. Either a sound or a vocal comes in or drops out, or the percussion changes, for example. And these changes usually happen at the end of a section defined by how many beats and bars it has in it. Now, there are 4 beats in a bar, and usually every 4 or 8 bars something changes. And where one of those changes happens is usually a good point to start your mix. So get the tracks loaded up on your deck like I've done here, and first let's take a look at where is a good point to mix out of one track and into the next one. Starting with the track on deck A, which is called Tech House 1, let's skip to near the end and have a listen to the track and see what's involved. Okay, so we've got drums, we've got a bass line there. There's a stabby staccato synth sound. And also a whooshy kind of synth sound as well. And as we approach the end, let's have a listen for one of those changes which I just talked about. Okay, did you hear that? The bass line stopped, and also the whooshy synth sound stopped, and it's left us with only the drums and the stabby synth. And in fact it's just changed again, and now it's left us pretty much with just the drums. So what's left behind is a nice, clean and less cluttered part of the track for us to mix over. This means there's less chance of an unpleasant clash when we mix our next track in. So that sounds like the perfect spot to start our mix, and to help you I want you to put a hot cue right on the first beat of our mix out section. So we need to go back and just find that bit where that change happened. Let's go just before it here. Hit play, listen out for that change again. A bit further forward. Okay, there it is. So I'm just going to move back a little bit and do what we did in the video about hot cues before. Get ready and tap a hot cue in just at that point. I'm going to use hot cue number 2. Okay, great. So now there's a hot cue at the start of our mix out section. Now I want to turn our attention to the other track, the one we want to mix in. And normally we would want to start our mix from the first beat of the track, but we should just check that there's nothing troubling at the beginning. So let's have a listen, and also here I'm going to count those beats and bars that I told you about so you can hear what I mean. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so no issues there, no heavy bass lines or vocals that might sound nasty. And also you heard that after 8 bars, that little synth sound there started. So that should fit nicely over the outro of the other track. Right, it's time to try and mix these tracks together and see how they sound. So let's turn our attention to the mixer section, because after all, we can't have a mix without the mixer. So what we have here are 2 separate but identical sections for controlling the sound of each deck. You need to make sure that all the knobs here are set to the 12 o'clock position, like they are here. And we're going to come on to using things like filter and effects in the next video. But for now we want to concentrate on how the sound from each deck is mixed or blended together. So there's 2 things here we need to look at. These are the line faders, the individual volume levels of the deck, which are both going into the master output. And here is the crossfader. And this is used to gradually switch between them. So to start, let's get the mix set up. Let's move our outgoing track to somewhere before our hot cue marker there, so it gives us a bit of time to get ready. And press play. Now we're going to move the crossfader all the way over to the left, so we're only hearing deck A. And then on deck B, we want to make sure that sync is enabled, so it locks the beats grids together nicely. So you don't have to be super precise when you press the play button. And what we're going to do now is we're going to listen for the start of the mix out section. We're ready here at the beginning of the track, lined up on our cue point. So all we need to do is press play when our mix out section begins here. Now the tracks are mixing in the background, but we can't quite hear that yet, so we'll move the crossfader over, slowly fade between the tracks. So there you go, there's your first beat mix. And the crossfader is especially useful if you're using your computer keyboard, because it's tricky to control the line faders of your decks individually with your mouse or trackpad, and it's impossible to move one up and one down at the same time, which effectively is what the crossfader was doing there. So there you go, a nice tight beat mix. You should practice with these tracks and start to apply the same principles with some of your own tunes and start to experiment. And in the next video I'm going to show you how you can use EQ and effects, filters and loops to take your mixes to the next level. See you then.